Welcome to the finals of the Baltimore Open. I am Cedric Phillips, joined with Craig Krempels here in the booth. Excuse me, Craig, I apologize. We're watching Kellen Pastore with Mono White Humans against Jim Davis playing Bant Company. We had 622 players. We've got 2 left. Eventually, one of these 2 is walking out of here with $5,000. We'll find out if it's going to be Jim Davis, your 2015 Players Champion, or it'll be Kellen Pastore. Jim will be taking a mulligan here. Looks like he's going down to 6 cards, and Kellen is sitting comfortably, apparently, with his 7.
Oh, yeah. I love to be right, but I never want to see this happen to someone. You know, the mulligans can be so painful. We want to see good magic.
Of course. We want to see games be played here.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions, like we saw for Game 3 between Kellen and Todd. A close one.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun to watch. Todd wasn't able to get the job done. That's why Kellen is here. And we'll see if Jim can. Now, one thing to keep in mind, again, is for Kellen, 2nd overall seed.
Yep, on the play.
Such a big deal for his deck. And you think about it, Jim has been able to overcome the fact that he's been on the draw in all of his matchups.
Oh, yeah.
The 4 versus the 5, the 1 versus the 5, and now the 2 versus the 5.
But this is the matchup that's going to pressure him the most from the get-go.
Jim going to take a long look at this hand. You got to remember, he's playing a deck that's got, Canopy Vista, Prairie Stream. He's also got 4 Lumbering Falls.
Yep.
He's got a lot of lands that enter the battlefield tapped as he's going to scry, so he's going to keep his 6. We'll see where he wants to put this card.
Yeah,
that card's going to stay on top.
The Bant Company deck has run so smooth the entire weekend that we've watched it, but it does have the potential to get some clunky draws in there where the lands just don't cooperate that well.
It's a Kithian, Hero of Akros, for Kellen Pastore to start the finals. Lumbering Falls here for Jim Davis will head Kellen's way for turn number 2. And that is a 2nd land for Kellen, which is, of course, very important. And here comes the attack for 2. Davis down to 18.
And we'll see if he's got the double 1-drops to set up the Transforming Kithian next turn.
Well, he does. They're not 2 power 1-drops, but they are 2 1-drops nonetheless. They're in 2 copies of Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, they're not the most exciting 1-drops, but comboed with Always Watching next turn or Athalia's Lieutenant, they become potent threats pretty quick.
We head Jim Davis's way now.
And it looks like Jim has that decision with his lands where he can play a land untapped this turn in order to get a 2-drop onto the board, but potentially gum himself up with some lands coming into play tapped later in the game.
Yeah, I think it's almost too important to play a Sylvan Advocate. I think the card's just too good not to play right now.
Yep.
And that's exactly what Jim's going to do. Athalia's Lieutenant is the play here from Kellen. Kellen took his turn real fast.
Yeah, and he's offering that trade with the Kithian, saying, hey, I'm just getting on the board. I'm attacking you. I don't need this Kithian to transform in order to win this game.
Yeah. And it's really the only good block that Jim has. I don't think, he can trade with the Kithian.
Yep.
Or he can say, all right, I will block your Thraben Inspector. They'll run into each other. So Kellen, in a way, is actually just forcing the action here on Jim.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, Jim doesn't really have a decision. And maybe he'll make us look very silly.
Yeah, I think he's forced to.
I think he is too, but he's really thinking about this.
Oh, excuse us.
Okay.
I feel like I'm missing something. Gideon Battleforged is here now. It's a very surprising block, in my opinion. I mean, he clearly has something he's trying to set up.
And I'm a little surprised with Kellen's choice of only the single plus on the Gideon.
Okay.
He can force that 2/3 that's... Oh, it has Vigilance. My apologies.
Yeah, sure.
I'm thinking forcing it to attack will get it out of the way, but obviously with Vigilance, it would still be a great defender as well.
Yeah. Dave's going to take a look at this. Let's take a look and see what Gideon Battleforged does, and we can do the exact same thing. A lot of lines of text on that creature. Up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon during its controller's next turn, if able. The +1 makes the creature indestructible. Now we're going to see a Reflector Mage here from Jim. He's going to bounce the Thraben Inspector. Now he's going to go after this, which in theory could kill Athalia's Lieutenant, but he's just going to bring Gideon down to 2. So I'm curious to see what the plan is here for Jim Davis as we head Kellen Pastore's way. 2 mana. For Jim, it's clearly more about board presence.
Yes.
Because he could have just traded with Kithian, and he elected not to. There's a declaration in stone. Jim will get a clue. Gideon's going to attack.
Those declaration stones just so good, especially when you're hyper aggressive. The opponent doesn't have a single turn off where they can just crack those clues.
Davis is down to 9. We're going to head Jim's way now. Draw a card. Picked up a Prairie Stream. It'll enter the battlefield untapped. He's got quite a few lands in his hand right now. The big question is here, does he have a card like Collected Company? It's a big one if he does. He'll play a Port Town, reveal a Prairie Stream. He does have company.
Yep.
That's important. It's got to be a good company. I like the main phase here in case you find Reflector Mage. Top 6. Let's see how he's going to do. All right, Bounding Crassus and Duskwatch Recruiter look to be the hits. He might have 2 Crassus, actually. It's 2 Crassus, actually good.
Yeah, it'll get the Gideon. It'll tap both of the blockers down, and Reflector Mage can get in there and finish off that Gideon.
And I'll have 2 3/3s on D.
And yeah, and 2 significant bodies on the board to boot.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. All right. We questioned the play with the Sylvan Advocate.
Yeah.
It looks like Jim's doing okay. Reflector Mage going to finish off Kithian. And now we head back Kellen's way. And these sized bodies at times can be difficult for him to get through.
Yes.
You might not think a 3/3 is that large, but for a mono white human stack, pretty big. There's an Always Watching. Now it looks like the Urban Inspector might be coming in the red zone. I like a double block a lot here by Jim. He'll lose a Bounding Crassus, but Kellen will lose his threat. Now we head back Jim's way. See the life totals here, 29 in favor of Pastore. Over to Davis. Jace of Vryn's Prodigy.
Great draw for him there. He's got a lot of extra lands in his hand already, and he's got the Collected Company in his graveyard.
Now Jim has enough time now to actually sacrifice the clue as well, so he can get a little bit deeper into his deck if he'd like. See where he wants to start. He's going to start by sacrificing a clue. Time to draw a card. Den Protector is not bad either.
Yep, when you've got enough time with that card, that's another platinum hit.
And he's got enough time to work with. Things getting interesting here.
Yeah, you see all of the utility creatures out of Jim's deck doing a lot of heavy lifting. The Reflector Mage really bought him a lot of time. Got a 2/3 creature off of the board. That would be a 3/4 right now. The Bounding Crassus is tapping 2 blockers. Just really important for him. Are they Crassi?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, plural of Crassus.
Yeah. I'm going to go Crassi. Crassuses. How's that sound? Probably not right.
Crassi.
Okay.
All right. we found it.
Here's a Chase. Powerful magic card. He's going to go with that instead of Den Protector.
You were a linguist in college, right?
Yeah, something like that. To Pastore we'll go. And we know he's got a Thraben Inspector in hand.
Yeah, and he needs to start getting some things back onto this board, start threatening his opponent again, because, like we said, Jim now has that Jace on the board. We know he's got the Den Protector in his hand. He's got the Collected Company in the graveyard, and once all of these start to get cast, it's real hard for this white weenie deck to crawl back out of that hole.
There's the Inspector, 3rd clue. Curious if Kellen's ever going to have time to sacrifice one of those. His Thalia's Lieutenant gets a counter. So that's a 3/3 Thalia's Lieutenant right now. 1 counter, base 1/1, power and toughness, and then Always Watching. Pretty good new card here.
And it looks like Kellen's wondering if he should cash in a clue or deploy another 1-drop here. Oh,
Okay.
2 more 1-drops.
Yeah.
Well, that makes the play a little bit easier.
Dragon Hunter and an Expedition Envoy. This creature's a 5/5 now.
Still not a great power toughness ratio running into a 3/3 and a 2/3.
Yep, there's your double block. But what I think Kellen's doing a pretty nice job of here is just kind of whittling away Jim's stuff.
Yep.
I don't think that's the end of the world. I mean, he's been on that path, it seems like almost the entire game, as Davis is going to draw an island here.
Well, by making a lot of trades and not gumming up the board too much, it might give him the time to cash in those clues later.
Davis going to activate Chase. 3 cards in the graveyard. He'll draw. Canopy Vista is not what he's looking for. He needs action. It's this card at Canopy Vista.
It's a little painful for Kellen to make that trade with the Bounding Crassus. One, because his lieutenant can get bigger to where that trade wouldn't happen. And 2, it puts another card in the graveyard, which makes Jace that much closer to flipping. But he doesn't want to invest a whole lot into this creature and have a whole bunch of counters on it and then just have it get bounced with a Reflector Mage.
A morph. And back to Pastore will go. Land number 4. And everything's attacking. The turns are simple here for Kellen.
This is what my deck is supposed to do.
Oh. Draw, attack. You decide.
Yeah.
And again, I believe it is Jim's job to just whittle away things here.
Yeah, maybe he should just be making the trades where he can.
And this is a spot where he can make the trades. Den Protector will be unmegamorphed. I gotta believe it's company, yeah. Damage is dealt, trades are made. Inspector comes across for 2, Davis down to 7. Follow-up if there is one.
Well, at a minimum, Kellen's got to cash in a clue here, right?
Yeah, I want a main phase cash and a clue.
Yeah.
In case I draw something to play. Stasis Snare. Gonna take care of Jace. Okay.
Not terrible. He's got to pray there's not a Dramoka's Command that shows up at some point this game.
Yeah. It's either gonna kill Always Watching or Stasis Snare. Davis will draw. Well. Speak of the devil, and it shall appear.
And Jim has the mana to do everything.
Good place to start is Collected Company. I'm going to play Prairie Stream. Ah, yes, the classic pass with nothing. But we all know that he has that, so. I'm going to start sacrificing. Start by sacrificing a clue. Neither the White Orchid will allow Kellen to search. And it's funny, I thought Kellen was fast during this game. I wasn't sure about Jim's block with the Sylvan Advocate.
Yeah.
And Jim hasn't won this game yet, but I think he's in a favorable position.
Yeah, the question is the way the game played out. If he had just traded there, would he still be winning?
But it's also worth noting that Jim's mana did not backfire this game.
Correct.
Everything kind of shook out correctly.
Yes. He's cast what he wanted to cast on every turn of the game.
Here's Collected Company. Top 6 here for Davis. See how he does this time.
Yeah, no whiffs.
Yeah, for me, it's all about Sylvan Advocate because that's the biggest creature.
Yep.
Well, he found one. He would have liked to find something else with it, but he found one.
Well, it is big, so he can fire off the Dramoka's Command to fight an opposing creature and force the opponent to sacrifice an enchantment, if that's a path he wants to take.
Though I am curious which enchantment Kellen will sacrifice. Probably Always Watching.
Yeah.
Here is Dramoka's Command. He'll have a fight take place. And yes, the Always Watching will be sacrificed. So now Davis will untap. It's time to draw. Island to go along with the Jace. You talked about Lumbering Falls. I think he's going to fire that up because now it's time to turn the corner.
Yep.
It's time to try to get this game over with before Kellen's sort of backdoors his way into some good draw steps.
Yeah, Kellen still has a couple of clues in play. He's got enough lands to deploy anything that he draws. Jace was a great draw step for Jim that turn. He can either go after Dromoka's Command or cast that same Collected Company for the third time this game.
Remember, Advocate's a 4/5. Lumbering Falls is a 5/5, as Pastore is going to cash in a clue. And again, this is the position, and we saw this with Pastore last round against Todd Anderson. You get here, it's very unlikely you'll win.
Yeah.
Even though you're cashing in clues and all that stuff, the reason his deck is so good and he's gotten to the point where he is because he's just been able to run people out of the gym.
Yep.
Now it's getting a lot more difficult. You see Stasis Snare, it's better to kill Jace than Sylvan Advocate. That doesn't mean Advocate isn't a problem. It's still a huge problem.
Yeah, real big problem. And even when Jim's running out of gas and things to do, those Lumbering Falls are there to keep the pressure on.
Dromoka's Command, the draw there from Davis.
Another great draw.
Yep. Fight a creature, sack an enchantment. Stasis Snare are the only options. They both have a Jace, so Jim looks like he's going to get a Jace back no matter what here. Lumbering Fall is going to get fired up. Here come the beatdowns. Kellen going to take that damage. No good blocks available. He's down to 2. And Davis is going to pass that turn back. Declaration in Stone.
We'll see some responses here.
That's probably a good idea. Dromoka's Command, a fight, and make Kellen sacrifice an enchantment. So Expedition Envoy is going to bite the dust. Jace is going to come back, and Davis will get a clue. The follow-up is the Militia Captain.
Yep.
And Jim's going to take a look. We'll do the same. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more creatures, you get to transform this. It's just a 2/2 right now.
It's not transforming.
Yeah.
Not really close.
So Davis will untap. Again, Pastore's at 2. Jim's going to see if he can try to figure out a way to get these last couple of points of damage across.
And with so many lands in play, you can fire up, I believe he has enough in play to fire up the Lumbering Falls, force his opponent to trade with it, and then still cast. Well, looks like Kellen just had enough.
Yeah. I think Jim's basically dealing lethal there.
Yeah.
With the Dromoka's Command and some other things, yeah, I think he's got enough to get the job done. So Kellen's going to concede the game as Jim Davis does win game number 1 here over Kellen Pastore. Bant Company up a game over Mono White Humans as these players are going to take a look at the sideboards. That means we're going to do the exact same thing. 3 Secure the Waste, 3 Get In Ally of Zendikar, a Stasis Snare, 2 Silk Wraps, 2 Feldar Cubs, a Lantern Scout, Hollowed Moonlight, and then 2 Westvale Abbeys here for Kellen.
I don't expect a lot of changes. He might want to bring in the Gideon Ally of Zendikar. If he does that, he might need to bring in 1 or 2 of these Westvale Abbey. But I think his game plan in general is to have Secure the Waste, Westvale Abbey be a combo against more controlling decks. And I don't think it lines up real well against what Jim is doing. So not a whole lot of changes to be had here. Maybe Gideon Ally of Zendikar.
For Jim, you're going to find a lot of 1s and 2s here. A Tireless Tracker, a Den Protector, a Hidden Dragon Slayer, 2 Lantern Scout, 2 Declaration in Stone, 2 Invocation of Saint Traft, an Ojutai's Command, along with 2 Clip Wings and 3 Negates.
Yeah, Jim's sideboard isn't real well lined up against a hyper-aggressive deck like this, but I expect the Lantern Scouts to come in. You can search them up with Collected Company and give all of your creatures a lifelink and a snap, and probably the Declaration Stones are going to come in. They're more 2 casting cost plays that he can make to try to keep up if Kellen comes out of the gates blazing here.
Well, that gives you an idea of what both players are working with here. So, as I do shuffle them over here for game number 2, I do want to remind you guys at home that Star City Games has got a lot of awesome tournaments coming up in the near future. Of course, you got the Invitational next weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's Pro Tour Shadows over Innistrad taking place 2 weeks from now. But if you're not qualified for that, we've got our state championships, and you can find out more about that tournament right now.
On April 23rd and 24th, don't miss the StarCityGames.com State and Provincial Championships. With Standard on Saturday and Modern on Sunday throughout the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico, there are plenty of chances to become a champion. Every player that registers receives an exclusive art print, top 8 competitors receive an exclusive playmat and pin, and each champion receives a championship playmat, medal, and an invitation to any of the next 3 StarCityGames.com invitationals. Each event will also include an oversized token door prize customized with their location. Visit go.starcitygames.com/states to learn how to become a champion today.
August 23rd and the 24th, become a champion. Find your local state championship. You can become a champion like Craig Krempels over here.
Oh, yeah.
Pennsylvania state champion.
Oh, yeah.
Though he's from New Jersey.
You love that.
You invaded another territory.
Yeah, I just went out to collect bounties.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a 2-time state champion, and neither are from Ohio. So,
Okay, see?
Yeah, I'm in Indiana and Washington state champion. Couldn't get it done in my home state. So I understand where you're coming from.
It's tough on the home turf
It
sometimes.
really is. Try to defend the home turf. Can't get it done.
I've lost in the finals of New Jersey state champs before.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Jim Davis, I don't believe is a state champion, but he is a champion of a little bit bigger tournament.
Listen, all I know is I'm a state champion and he's not.
Got it.
Even if he is, he's not.
Got it. Well, he is 31 from Long Island, New York, with 9 open top 8s. Let's make it 10 after this one here when we get the updates to this graphic with an open win. We might have to update that one, too, given he is currently up a game. 2 invitational top 8s and the old 2015 Star City Games Tour Players Champion. So not a bad resume there for old DJ JD as he's getting ready here for game number 2 against Kellen Pastore, who is looking to make a name for himself this weekend. And even if Kellen doesn't win this tournament, and he certainly still can, he's going to be on the play here for game number 2.
Yep.
I think his deck is going to have a huge impact for the Invitational next weekend.
I agree. We saw a lot of humans decks in the format, some of them splashing some colors, but his has made the deepest run, and it looks to be very well crafted.
I know we as a Magic community, we typically look at what the first place deck is, take a look at some of the top 8 results, and then, we don't really look at 9 through 16, all of that stuff. For the Invitational next weekend, first of all, we're going to publish the top 64 deck list instead of the top 32, but get your eyes on all of that stuff because that's a big tournament next weekend, and it's release week, so there are a lot of good ideas that you can just take and kind of hone a little bit.
Well, definitely, and you need to be prepared to play against all of those different decks that make an appearance in the top 64.
For sure. Talking to Todd after he just lost his match to Kellen in the semifinals, Todd had those Eldrazi Obligators, and he said, "There's no ramp. There's no ramp out here. I wish those were anything else."
Yeah.
So Kozilek's Return, Fiery Impulse, Rending Volley, a lot of different spot removal people can play, and I think mono white humans, and we had 4 humans decks in the top 8. We're going to see a lot more removal.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to fight these one drop. Yeah.
And the ability to make them a little bit bigger with Thalia's Attendant and Always Watching. You got to be able to beat this kind of deck.
Yes.
So we're going to see how people do adjust this weekend. Jim Davis can't adjust now, though he is currently up a game. And we'll see what he ends up finding for a good configuration. See, both players have access to each other's sideboard here, so be able to adjust accordingly, just as we saw their sideboards a little bit ago.
Yeah, no secrets. Maybe some hidden cards like Hidden Dragon Slayer.
Ah, yes. Really good. Really well done there by
Oof,
you. Yeah.
that one.
You're really on fire this weekend.
Just knocking them out of the park.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It's not bad.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was really bad, actually. But who am I? Who am I to judge you and your bad jokes?
Realistically?
Yeah, realistically.
You're my boss.
Right. We don't have to bring that up. I'm not gonna.
I appreciate that you don't lord that over me.
Push my power.
You let me just fly with all the cheesy jokes.
No, I don't know. That's not my gig, man.
All right.
We're just in here having fun, talking about a little bit of Magic. Now, one thing we'll do really quickly as these players do finish shuffling up is we're going to take a look at that Season 1 leaderboard really quickly here because this is our last individual open weekend, so all we've got left is the Invitational next weekend. Now, Jeff Hoagland on top of things coming into the weekend with 126 SCG points. You got Joe Lissette with 102, Andrew Tenjum 97, Jerry Thompson 92, Brad Carpenter 89, Harlan Fear 80, Caleb Shear 78, and then Brian Brondale with 71. But one thing to note here is all the top 7 were here.
Yes.
And, none of them had a good weekend.
No, not that many. Early in day one, the middle of day one, it looked like a lot of these guys were in competition. They were doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And it shows just how difficult it is to make deep runs in these events.
Yeah, I'm going to want to take a look at the final standings when I get them in front of me, but none of them really had that great of a weekend, unfortunately. Yep. Or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So, I still think Jeff is good to go. It's going to take some sort of absurd series of events for him to not qualify for the Players' Championship next weekend at the conclusion of the Invitational. But for Lissette, Tenjum, Thompson, Carpenter, all of those guys, we could see some absurd changes depending on how things shake out the Invitational.
Yeah. Yep, we expect Hoogland to have one of those spots.
Yeah.
The other two are kind of up for grabs here.
And they got a lot to prepare for next weekend.
Yes. And we don't know how a couple of our other events have gone this weekend.
Yeah, we've got some classics finishing up here, so maybe some of those players did make top 8. Though I did see Daryl Ayers take a photo with a plaque, which leads me to believe that he probably won the Legacy Open with Lands again, or the Legacy Classic with Lands again.
They don't let, like, the third place finisher take a photo with the plaque.
They don't. We don't put that in the Facebook album, believe it or not. Get confirmation for that when I can, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 0 with Lands. Well, apparently, as I've just found out, Daryl did well in Modern.
Okay.
So showing that his game is a little diverse.
Well, and it's a relatively changing format with the recent bannings and unbannings.
Yeah.
And he probably wants to put the time in before the Invitational next week.
I actually want to take a look at those deck lists, see if anybody found it with Ancestral Visions or Sword of the Meek.
Oh, yeah.
And not with Eye of Ugin, since you can't anymore, thankfully. It's a town gossip monger to start here for Kellen Pastore. For Jim Davis, just a Prairie Stream, then there's the battlefield tap, pass back over to Kellen. Kellen does have land number 2. And this is Thalia's Lieutenant number 1. Gossip monger gets a counter, transformation complete, and let's go Jim Davis's way.
That's a big creature.
Yes, it is. Incited Rabble's a 3/4 right now. There's a Jace. Not as big of a creature as we head over Kellen's way.
And this Thalia's Lieutenant could turn into a big creature real quick as well. Yep, couple of 1-drops.
That's what it just did. It's a Dragon Hunter and an Expedition Envoy and the Beatdowns.
3/4 and 3/3.
Yeah, this is turn 3.
Yep, this is a clock.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if another Lieutenant or an Always Watching comes down next turn, oof.
Well, this is the appeal to the deck, right?
Yeah.
It's straightforward. It's just going to do the same thing every time, and either you can beat it or you can't.
Yep. And Jim's going to need a card like Reflector Mage here to make sure things don't get too out of control.
Now, Jim's deck is objectively more powerful.
Yes.
You know, it's got Jace and Archangel Avacyn and Den Protector and all these expensive busted cards. As now,
Yep,
my
there it is.
Goodness, another Thalia's Lieutenant is going to pump up the crew. I think we can just move on to game number 3 here in just a moment.
Looks like 15.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yep. Yep.
Kellen Pastore.
And this is a game where I think Jim's losing this game no matter what. The draw is so good out of his opponent.
Yeah, same.
But turn 3, he had a land that came into play tapped. And potentially, if he had an untapped land, he could have played Reflector Mage, bounced one of the big problematic creatures, and then traded with one of the smaller creatures.
Yeah, that's about the only shot he would have had there.
Yeah.
You see the difference between play and draw?
Yes.
And that was a huge one. Jim got a Jace. He got to activate Jace, and that's game.
Yep.
You lose. So, Kellen going to take a moment here to get ready for game number 3. I think Jim's going to go back to the drawing board. So first things first, we'll take a look at the sideboards one more time for these guys. Now, not really a lot of information to draw from that game.
No,
so
we don't know what actually happened between these two.
So I don't think a lot changes on either side of things. For Jim, you know, I think he's got like Lantern Scout, Hidden Dragon Slayer probably because it's a life linker, stuff like that, but I don't think anything changes.
Sure. The Declaration of Stones, I think, could be very important for him.
Okay.
You know, a start like that, if he was able to remove a creature on turn 2 or turn 3 with a Declaration of Stone, keeps him in the game.
For Kellen, he should draw like that again.
Yeah, I mean, don't change your deck, Kellen. Just come out of the gates blazing and blow Jim's doors off.
Yeah, that's about it. It's simple. It's kind of straightforward. But for Jim, it's so important that he broke serve in game 1.
Sure.
Because he's on the play here for game number 3. So we'll see if his lands cooperate and if he can take advantage of the fact that he's on the play and try to add a second open win on his resume. But in the meantime, as these players do shuffle up, Kellen will return here in just a moment. We got another big tournament coming up for you in May. There's a Grand Prix taking place. It's Modern Weekend, and Channel Fireball will be hosting one tournament. Star City Games will be hosting another, and you can find about both of those right now.
On May 20th through the 22nd, make plans to be part of Modern Weekend and Magic the Gathering history when StarCityGames.com proudly presents Grand Prix Charlotte. Register for the Modern Format main event to compete for thousands of dollars in prizes and receive an exclusive playmat featuring Jace as he pores over the pages of Tommy O's journal. Select the 3-day Infinite Challenge package to compete in all challenge events for one low price, while also walking away with the exclusive Jace playmat. Add a premium rewards package and take home a collectible pin, deck box, 80-count pack of sleeves, and playmat, all featuring the iconic Noble Hierarch. Play in select side events for even more chances to win additional Noble Hierarch pins, deck boxes, sleeves, and playmats all weekend long. And don't forget to come say hello to Grand Prix Charlotte's many special guests, including cosplayer Christine Sprinkle and an artist alley full of fan favorites, headlined by guest of honor Rob Alexander. Be part of Modern Weekend and Magic the Gathering history. Register for Grand Prix Charlotte today.
StarCityGames.com/GP Charlotte for more information about Modern Weekend. I'm looking forward to that one, man. I'm going to be, maybe I'll be like Daryl Ayers, who, he was playing Scape Shift.
Okay.
That's what got the job done. That's a little surprising.
Not what I expected.
No, I expected maybe a little something more aggressive, but maybe the format slowed down a little bit because of the introduction of Ancestral Vision and Sword of the Meek. People are trying blue-based stuff, which Scape Shift kind of cleans up on.
Sure.
Maybe.
And Scape Shift is still a very powerful deck.
I wonder if... I don't think Scape Shift would play Ancestral Vision. Be a weird card to have in their deck.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Right. Certainly not going to play Sword of the Meek.
But Modern is great. It's wide open format. Lots of decks you can play.
I'll tap the Invitational next weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be interested to see what people bring to the table. You know, you had mentioned yesterday about Affinity and Infect and your thoughts on those decks, and I do think that those are real safety nets to play.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got nothing else, or if you're not confident in anything else, you can just play those hyper aggressive decks and cross your fingers and hope to get the job done.
Well, they were good before.
Yeah, they were good before, as you
and
said.
They'll continue to be good now.
Yeah, I don't think that changes. You know, maybe Jund makes a bit of a comeback. Obzon.
Yeah, I think there's room for those mid-rangey decks that pair up well against the really aggressive decks to make a comeback.
Okay. Maybe even something like Grixis. Grixis gets Ancestral Vision.
Yep.
Well, maybe there's some Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meek decks. Maybe it slides into Lantern Control to make that deck even more pleasant to play against.
What a headache.
To put it mildly.
Yeah, your opponent shows up with a pile of cards that you cut from your draft decks, and you can't beat it.
No, you have no shot. That's actually... I just don't understand how anyone made that deck. That's all.
There's some wacky evil genius somewhere.
Yeah, I want to meet the creator, because like now that's a deck, you know, everyone knows the thing,
Yes.
whatever. But this combination of cards is definitely it.
Yeah, to get there from here.
Yeah, no clue how it's even possible.
Yeah, that's impossible for me.
Yeah. Mono White Humans, pretty simple to build. That's my wheelhouse. Bunch of stupid creatures and 21 planes. Let's go.
Yep. I'm attacking.
Yeah. I'll just find the best 39 creatures to play. Everything will be fine.
Oh, my opponent played Lantern of Insight? I can beat that. How are they going to win?
Must be his first tournament.
Yeah. That stinks for this guy.
Yeah. Stinks for me.
Oh, wait. I just lost to it.
Yeah.
No idea what happened.
Can you imagine the first person who lost that deck and they're just like, you know, you tell your friends.
Yeah, they're trying to describe to their friends what happened, and they can't even do it. They're like, hey, guys, you know there's this card. I don't even know the name of it. It taps to mill each player for a card, and they're like, what are you talking about?
He played a Codex Shredder and a Lantern of Insight, and yeah, okay. It just doesn't make any sense.
Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Yeah. Looks like both players are going to keep. Game number 3, our last one here from Baltimore. Davis will start off with an Evolving Wilds.
This is it. Here we go.
Pastore, a 1-drop. Expedition Envoy. Davis will sacrifice the wild, see what land he wants to find. Now, Jim does have a copy of Collected Company in his hand, and this Evolving Wilds will search for a basic, which means he'll be halfway home for his battle lands. And basic force is the weapon of choice.
And we'll see if he has its ideal 2-drop in the Sylvan Advocate.
He's had that on turn 2 a lot this weekend.
That's what you want to do, right?
And Dragon Slayer's not so bad. You can do a little trading.
Not terrible. It's unclear if he has a land that comes into play untapped right now.
Yeah. He's got Port Town.
Sure.
He can play that and reveal. Okay.
And this little Dragon Slayer is going to come down just as a 2-drop.
Yeah, it's a boring old 2-1, but I think you just want to trade as much as you can.
Oh, yeah, he can't get too far behind too fast. If the game goes long, it favors him a lot.
Let's see what Kellen has here. Thais Lieutenant. 3-2. Any attacks?
Yeah, if he's not interested in attacking, it tells us right away that he definitely has something else to pump his creatures in the next turn.
Always watching or something?
Or another lieutenant.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise he wouldn't be waiting.
This is the first time that we've seen Kellen not make an attack like this to trade.
Yep.
All match long. Lumbering Falls to draw. And this is actually pretty good for Jim because Jim can go put a counter on my Hidden Dragon Slayer and fight your Thais Lieutenant.
Yep.
And he gets to gain life in the fight because of life link.
He can even wait, and if Kellen deploys and always watching,
Yeah, snipe that.
he can pick that off of the board.
It's true. I think he's going to keep it simple here. Jamoka's command, fight, +1/+1 counter. Jim's going to gain 3 life. Now he's got a 3/2 life linker. I don't know. He's feeling frisky and wants to get in the red zone, maybe.
I expect him to hold back,
Yeah.
but it's not 100% that that's the right play.
We talked about how Jim's lands may be entering the battlefield tapped and how that could trip him up a little bit, but that does not appear to be the case just yet. 2 Prairie Streams in hand right now, along with Eclectic Company and Bounding Crassus, so he's going to have action over the next couple of turns.
Oh, yeah.
He's just deciding if he wants to attack or not. Camera on Jim's face. Never mind. Yep, there's the attack. Davis up to 26. Pastore down to 17.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kellen knows that he needs to attack to win here, so he's not going to trade.
Declaration in stone gives Jim a clue. There is Griff's Boon for the first time.
Griff's Boon. First time we've seen that. The enchantment gives him a little more insurance against future Dramoka's commands. And the flying is obviously great for the evasion. And he can replay it from the graveyard if he should lose it.
It's a Prairie Stream. And Jim will pass the turn back. Bounding Crassus at the ready. Pastore will draw. Thais Lieutenant. Put a counter here. Bounding Crassus will slow that down. A Plains here from Kellen. And he'll just pass the turn back. Over to Davis we go. And Davis will draw. Sylvan Advocate's a pretty nice one.
That Envoy is getting big on the other side of the board.
It is. It is.
5 power.
Yep. And it's a flyer, which matters.
Jim does have that collected company. Finding Bounding Crassus would tap it for another turn. Finding Reflector Mage would just get it cleanly off the board altogether.
Got a lot of nice hits with Collected Company here.
Yep.
Go Kellen's way. 5 lands, a lot for his deck. Always watching.
Now he can play offense and defense.
Thais Lieutenant. Counter's coming. And Davis says before attacks, Collected Company, in case he hits a Bounding Crassus. So, top 6. See what Jim finds. Reflector Mage is 1.
That's a goodie right there.
Couple of lands. Dramoka's Command. Den Protector. Not so good. Ooh.
Looks like a Lantern Scout.
Does. He'll take Reflector Mage and Lantern Scout. His creatures will get lifelink, and of course there will be a Reflector Mage trigger. Goodbye, Expedition Envoy. Griff's Boon to the graveyard.
Now that's not as terrible for Kellen as you might think. He's going to replay the Envoy next turn. Each of the lieutenants are going to grow, and then he can redeploy the Boon out of the graveyard.
I think the Boon might be great. Time for Davis to draw. Crassus is good.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, all weekend long, we've seen these cards out of the Bant Company deck that just have little impacts, make a big difference throughout the game. The Crassus by itself, it doesn't seem that significant, but tapping a creature that would attack or would block has really added up over the course of this tournament.
Yeah, Jim's actually going to do something I like a lot here. He's going to get aggressive. He's going to shut down the bigger Thayu's Lieutenant, play a Sylvan Advocate.
Which is an ally.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Now he's going to gain a boatload of life.
Looks like 8.
Yes, it does. For the 2015 Players Champion, he's going to go up to 30. Pastore is going to fall to 6. Kellen will draw what might be his last draw of the tournament.
You don't think he's going to sneak through 30 points this turn?
Well, it's going to be a tough one to do, as there's a town gossipmonger, along with an expedition envoy. Those creatures are pretty big. And Thayu's Lieutenant can attack.
Yep, and we know that the Always Watching is still on the board.
So Jim could make some double blocks here if he'd like. And he doesn't have land number 6 just yet. So we'll see how Davis wants to block, if he wants to at all. Looks like he's just going to take all the damage.
Yeah, he's got a big buffer with his life total, and growing that Sylvan Advocate is going to be real big if he draws another land here.
Well, he didn't draw a land, but he does have a copy of Collected Company in hand. See if he wants to start there.
Yep, that's another goodie.
Davis down to 20. Pastore at 6. And Davis might be thinking fire it up.
Yeah, he might play it right now, basically what is his main phase. If he finds another Bounding Crassus, another Reflector Mage, another ally to give lifelink, it'll give him reasons to get aggressive again. And with Kellen at only 6 life, I don't think Jim needs a whole lot of help to push through and finish this game.
It's Collected Company here from Jim Davis. Reflector Mage is 1.
Oh, so good.
Reflector Mage is 2. He'll play 2 of them here.
Unbelievable
and
good.
How can you not? It's a heck of a Magic card. He's going to bounce 2 creatures, get the 2 Thayu's Lieutenants out of here, and he will attack with all of his creatures now. A couple of blocks here from Kellen, but 6 damage is going to come through no matter how he does block. And unless they have the life totals a bit different, which they do not, Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Kellen Pastore, 2-1. Bant Company will take care of Mono White Humans, and it is Jim Davis, your champion, here in Baltimore.